Howdy folks, welcome back to Faded Paint Garage. Today we're going to be working on door weather stripping. The best procedure I've found so far to do this starts with taking the doors off, just to make it a lot easier. I can lay it on some sawhorses, that way I'm working down from the top, not trying to hang the weather stripping, down the side. So I'm going to start with the driver's door, I think, get it pulled off, get it set up. The main thing a guy needs to do first, get all the old weather stripping removed and cleaned. I'll probably start with a scraper, wire brush. I don't know, I don't want to remove all the paint when I do it, so we'll just play that as it goes. I'm pretty comfortable taking the door off. I had it off when I set the cab on, and I was able to realign it. And I'll show you what I did, in previous videos showed it, but what I did is I just put wood shims, like house door wooden shims all around it for my gaps, and then just tighten it down, and it was good to go after that. So if you got a fancy paint job, I don't know what the best procedure is for that. I've got some leeway here with the faded paint. It's already been chipped up and stuff, so I'm not paranoid about it. I'm almost wondering, like, if a guy was doing a full off restoration, I would probably paint the door jambs and then install the weather stripping, and then once the weather stripping's on, paint the rest of the door, so all that stuff's aligned and installed. But auto body guys will know better than me. I don't know the best procedure for that. I just know if you don't have your door lined up right, it'll take the paint right off your truck. So don't do that with a nice paint job. I fixed it. I'm okay here. The reason that I kind of put this off is, well, I had to put it off because they didn't have both sides. I ordered these for mid-50, and these are the hollow seals, which are supposedly better. I think they shut a little bit easier, seal a little better. There's other brands that are recommended as well, so do your research and pick the best one that you think is for you. Don't go with the cheapest just because it's cheapest. Research which kind are better, because some of the other styles I know are difficult. So again, I went with the hollow kind, and so we're going to give that a try. And I've got the other important step to this is using the correct adhesive. 3M makes a specific weather strip style adhesive, and I'll go grab that and show you a little bit, but when we get to that point. But make sure you're using the right adhesive and make sure you're applying it correctly. Again, I found some videos. I think it was Dennis Gage had one, the guy from My Classic Car, or Classic Car, whatever the show was, and they showed the proper way to apply it. So I'm going to copy them. I'm not just going to goop it on and slap the weather stripping on. I've done that in the past. I'm sure others have too. But there is a better procedure to use that will, make it last a lot longer. So I'm going to start, take the door off, get on the sawhorses, get it all cleaned up, get the shop warmed up so I can glue the door, and then I'll update as we go along. The way I've been taking these doors off that's worked fine is to remove the cover plates. There's one down there and one here that I've already removed. That'll expose the 3 bolts. Should be 3 here, and again 3 down there. It's just a little sheet metal cover with screws that go in the ends here, so 2 on each one, and it's got a little lip, so just pop that off. So I'll get these loose. I think I'll have to make sure the window's rolled down so I can hold on to the door while I take these completely out. Otherwise the door is going to just going to drop and get wonky. I'd probably recommend taking and putting some blocks under the door seal, or whatever you think is best to kind of hold it up if you need to. But I think I can take it off, just one-man band it. So I like the last time I took it off this way, leaving the hinge on the truck, and then when you put it back together, you can close the door, put my little shims around it, or you hang the door again, but just make these loose, close the door, shim it where you want to put it, and crawl on the passenger side, then tighten them down. And that's what I did last time, and it worked fine, so we're going to try that again. But first step here, get these bolts off, get the door on the sawhorses, and go from there. Making some good progress here. There really wasn't much original weather stripping left. Really, it was just this part in here was about the only thing I had to scrape off with just a regular scraper. And then there was, of course, residue from where it used to be all the way around. So I went around, got the big chunks, or anything that was left with the scraper, and then I've started going around just a wire wheel on this air tool, and that's worked really good to clean this all up. I'm debating on whether I want to paint in here before I do it. I might go around and just at least rough it up with some sandpaper to make sure that there's no rusty chunks or anything. I think that wire wheel should have done that, but just give it a little bit more of a porous surface before I attach the weather stripping. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but just a thought. Found some more lead holing or filling here, so I'm going to try to cut those off without it falling out the other side, but I might end up having some holes. I'm guessing there was probably a mirror or something on this at one time. I'll go look at the other door and see if that's on there, but I assume that's not normal there. Otherwise, I'm happy. This driver's door is in bad shape. You can see it's been hit before and all this body damage through here. I might try to take a punch and a hammer and just try to flatten this ear off, or grind it down, I guess, just so there's a smooth surface for the weather stripping to attach through there. But look how messed up that is. This thing's been hammered, so might not ever get a good seal on this. I don't know, but I will try. Another thing I'm going to do is, I had bad luck getting this keeper put back in that holds the door lock in. It wouldn't go in very good, and ended up kind of being bent up and torn. So since the door's off, it might be a good time to, I think I bought another one to stick on. And then, not that it matters now, but if assuming I get this all done, I'm going to leave the door off for now, and I'll do the passenger side, or we'll leave it off. I've bought some new shafts to put on the door and the window crank. See how these are just shot, there's holes drilled in them. So Mid-50 has those replacements, so I'll have to take the whole mechanisms out in order to replace those shafts. So I was like, well, it's be a lot easier to work on it sitting here, I think, than in the truck. So if I get the weather stripping all done, I'll be happy, but I'm going to leave the door off until those parts arrive. So we'll do all that before I put the door back on. I'm debating on squirting some paint on here. I think I mentioned it. We'll see. And this little lip here, I don't know what's going on there. Check the other door, and that's factory. So I don't know if the weather stripping tucks up in there. I'm going to dry fit it a little bit. I'll get it all cleaned up real good, wipe it down with alcohol, dry fit it, and just see kind of where it's supposed to lay. Get a feel for it long before I start gluing again, because this weather strip cement, once you start, it's contact cement, so it goes wherever you stick it. So you want to make sure and do your homework and make sure things are fitting pretty close before you stick it together. So hopefully I don't have to buy extra sets, so if I screw it up, but we'll see. Got the weather stripping dry fitted in place. I just use masking tape to hold it for now, making sure it fit and everything appears to be correct. This lip along the bottom, the weather stripping kind of tucks up inside there, so that'll be a little tricky when I go to glue it with this contact cement stuff. So I guess we'll just play that by ear. The weather stripping cement I'm using is this 3M stuff, so it's black super weather strip and gasket adhesive. Should be a model number on there somewhere. It's 08008. Should be able to pick this up at Parts House, but I ordered mine on Amazon quite a while back when I was ordering some other stuff. So my plan is to just do this in short sections, probably maybe this side and then this area, and just work myself around. So the trick with weather stripping cement, as I've learned from watching videos, is just to put a small bead, probably like that wide, actually, just a small bead, and then you go back with a stir stick or popsicle stick and just smooth it out flat, and then you do it on both pieces. So you do a small bead on the door, smooth it out, so it just has to be really thin. Just smear it on there super thin. Same thing on the back of the weather stripping. Let them both dry until they're tacky, and then before you assemble it, put one more coat on one of the pieces. So it could be on the door, the weather stripping. I don't think it matters which side. So one more wet coat on that, just real thin, and then you press it together. So that's what I found on that other video that was done by a professional. So we're going to give that a try. A lot of guys will just goop it on, just throw it on the door, and then slap the weather strip on there, and that's not good. That's not how contact cement works. So glue on both sides, let it dry, and then one more real thin coat, and then put it together wet. So we'll give that a try. Still plugging along here. What I did is I just started with this corner. So I glued it from about here to here to just get the corner set in. And then I went and did the other side. Again, just a thin film on the door, thin film on the weather strip, and then once they dried, one little more thin film on the door. In fact, I might have only just done a thin film on the door and thin film on here and let it dry and then stuck it. I mean, that seemed to work fine too. That stuck down good. And then before I put this on, I did go across this metal tab and bend it up a little bit to make it easier to put this in. And then I went along it afterwards with a brass punch. But to go back a second, so I did this corner, once they were dry. Then I went ahead and did the whole strip in between. And then I just tapped this lip here. So it didn't go in just perfect. It looks pretty good till it gets about here, and there was a little extra slack in it. So is what it is. I think it'll still be fine. I'm curious if that'll be a continual problem down the road here with these other sides. So I'm kind of thinking similar idea here is to glue this piece in here and then glue that. Because if I did this wrong and ended up, out of slack here, that's harder to fix then. I could cut a piece out of the middle here, if I needed to do that. So we're learning as I go here, but I think it's going okay. Driver's door is done for now. Worked myself all the way around it. I ended up just putting a film on the door and then film on the weather strip and attaching it that way. I know I said earlier the other video mentioned putting one additional film on one side, but trying to hold the weather strip away from the door while, and it's just very precarious to do that. So the instructions say to do it this way, like contact cement, just a coat on both sides. So I'm hoping it'll be fine. It feels really good. It's nice and adhered to it, so I think we'll be good. Okay, now that the driver's door is done with the weather stripping, we're going to start on the passenger door. So same process as before. Going to get it all stripped off, cleaned all around, sand it a little bit, and then start to apply the new one. One thing I would suggest, and I don't know if it's really a big deal, but I laid them all out to let them relax out of the bag for a little while. Don't know, unless it's kinked up or something. This is probably not very critical, but it sure can't hurt. So I've got that laying there. And I did this because it kept wanting to roll on itself. It's like, well, maybe if I tape it in shape, it'll hold that when I go to install. I don't know. Probably not a big deal, but again, we'll hopefully this one goes better than the last one, because I think the last one went pretty good. So I've got the two corners done on this, but there's a bunch of extra, maybe this was stretched or something, but there's no way I can get that in there the way it is. There's just too much slack. So I'm going to split it right in the middle. That way I can shorten each side appropriately. I didn't run into that on the other one on the other seal, but this one's like that. So the rest of it I think is going to be okay. It seems to be fitting pretty good, but so I'm going to do that next and then work my way around the outside here. Alrighty, the passenger side seal is done. I don't know if I got better at this, but I didn't get any worse. I think it came out alright. This edge is a little screwy looking, but again I had to splice it there, which shouldn't hurt anything. This side all looks pretty good. Around the top here all came out good. Now, nice looking seals. I can't complain. Let me get you the brand name real fast of what I used. Again, these were the hollow from mid-50s, so they're made by Precision, and you got to buy a right and a left. So here's just one of the sides. Gives you a part number there in case you're interested in going this route. So I think the big test, of course, will be once they're installed to see how the door closes and fits. Hoping for the best, of course. You can kind of see here how they're hollow. See that there? So it allows it to compress a lot easier and seal. I think because of that, they might not be as durable, but I'm not too worried about that. It's old hot rod. It's not a daily driver. Well, maybe it'll be someday. But that's it. And then so I went through most of the tube of this stuff, doing both doors. And I've also used some of this before, not a lot, but one tube ought to do you. As long as you apply it correctly with just a real thin film, that ought to get you through doing both doors just fine. But that's it for now. I'm going to leave the doors off, and we'll do the window and door crank studs for both doors. So that'll probably be my next video once those parts get in. But again, appreciate you guys watching, and I'd really appreciate if you hit that like button and hit the subscribe to support my content, and we will catch you next time. Thank you.